Welcome to Steve 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad.
Hi everyone, this is Steve 87th PSAP Railroad, or Puget Sound and Pacific. This is my channel, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along and watch as I build my railroad, build up some kits, do some kit bashing, and running trains like the one behind me. So if this is what you guys like to watch, stick around for a while and see if you like the channel. Okay, in part 2 of the build series, we're going to go ahead and show you guys my basic initial setup on how to do this. Basically, we're getting a bunch of short little videos because I found out that I couldn't open up a 45-minute video. There was no way to upload it, so that's why you're going to get 3 quick ones really quick, and then we'll start making some shorter ones of the other progress. So this may take a dozen videos or so, but I'm going to get them out. So again, this is part 2, the setup on how we're going to do all of the little pieces and parts and how to get everything out. Okay, so watch and enjoy. The fun begins. One of the things that has to happen is you need to know how long and how large of a conveyor you're going to need and where is it going to go. In my case, I have completed this one and I know exactly where those bins are going to be set up at and how they're set up. So they're all set up straight in a line. They're nice and square. They're square to this building here, which is where the actual grain elevator or legs are going to come to actually add. Now, my problem is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the dump conveyor for here. The reason I want to show you this is because this one actually has a dump slot that will be on there. There is another conveyor that needs to go between the two of them here, but that's just going to be a straight shot to get it over to this side. So that one's going to be fairly easy. It's just going to have a drive motor and the under walkways to get from one side to the other. So that's one of the reasons why we won't need ladders over here. I haven't quite figured out exactly where the ladders are going to be accessed at. We'll do that later. But I can also bring in an access ladder on one of these sides. So the biggest thing that we have to do is, one, you want to know where you're going to set up at. So once you have that figured out, now you can figure out the length of your conveyor. So it's real easy. You can see here that the conveyor itself ends at the last area where it drops at. But there's a little catch. On this little end here, we added like 3/8 of an inch for the turnaround so that the conveyor actually stops right over the top of the hole. So the conveyor, the first section that we put in is going to stop right over top of the hole. It'll go completely over for the bin storage. Okay, then we have extra area that has to be accounted for. So the other thing that's a problem is, as you can see here, this is where our first bin hole is, but we've got conveyor that starts before that. That's because we've got the other conveyors that have to connect into different areas. So this is going to actually have to be measured and figured out where we're going to make this. So we're going to figure out the 2 measurements, the one for the conveyor that's going to go across here, and then the conveyor that's going to go this way. So the best way to do that is with a lot of metal rulers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we know that this is going to be square to this, and most of all of this is square to begin with. So the conveyor on this side will have to run from one side to the next. We just want to make sure that this is pretty much square so that we have a good shot. Okay, so this first conveyor here is going to be about 12 inches. Then we can see that this particular conveyor, we'll move this so that we have these lined up. This is where it takes the patience, and laser levels would probably be really good at this point in time. Okay, so steady hand. Actually, I have a measuring device on this. So our first hole, we'll get it yet. Our first hole, oops, I just moved that, is gonna, looks like it's gonna be at 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4. Okay, so I know that I need a 12-inch conveyor, and then I need a conveyor that starts at 2.5 inches. And then so from 2.25 inches to the next hole is 6.5. So that means that I need 8.75 inches just of conveyor belt. So we're gonna go cut those, and then that's where we can start from. The cool thing is I know what I did on these to make it a little bit easier for me. And now that I've got those done, I can actually have some more measurements that I can use to make this even better. Okay, so 8.75 inches over here, 12 inches on that one. And so let's go make us some conveyor belts.
Here's a couple of pictures to show what we're going to do. The overhead view of how everything works, so you can see that it's going to look about the same. These are some pictures from websites that I found that actually make these types of walkways. You can see here this one's got a diamond deck instead of an open deck. This one has the towers as well as an elevator bringing things up to just kind of show you guys how they mount these on the different types of silos. Yep, this is all the different research that went into it. You can see here again, it's another type of setup with the walkway. This is a good view of a larger setup. You can see, so again, all of this is just so that we can figure out how to start doing what we want to do. This obviously has a cylinder in it instead of the square drag tube, so this must have a screw type drive to move the grain around. Here's a photo of something that's similar to what we're going to basically do. You can still see the towers over there, which I'm kind of not going to replicate right now, but we'll get to them eventually. Another nice little overview, again, showing how things should be looking. And finally, this is kind of a total overview of how the actual system works, which I found interesting. So you've got your legs that bring it up, drop it into the conveyor system drops it down, and then you can see here that there's another conveyor system that's underneath all of the silos that then takes the grain out, delivers it to another grain system that goes to other places. So that's another portion of it. That lower leg is another portion that I'm going to do, but that's fairly easy to do, so we're not going to show the build on that. I'll just show you what the results are. So I'm cutting my two longer pieces. What's really nice is if you have a nice setup like this, again, this is the Tonic Studios by Jim Holt's glass thing. It's meant for multimedia type things, but what I really like, or even on your green cutting pads that they have this, they've got the ruler right down here on the bottom. So instead of having to dig out a ruler, stick it up here and all that kind of stuff, I can just come up here, go boom, read my number and say 8.5 inches. Okay, so get my 8.5 inch mark, stick it on in here. Cut this up. 8.5. We're good to go. We already got our 12-inch one cut. Those are our extra pieces over there. So next thing that we get to do, we're going to go test fit. Okay, so this is a little handheld action. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to check the 8.5 inch one. So now remember, the way that these conveyors actually work, this would be the final drop point down at this end. So we just want to make sure that it goes from there and that it does hit over to there. And we'll mark where that section is, because that's where our other, that's where our other drop down pipe's going to be. So we've got the good setting between there and there for our conveyor. Now the next one that we got to do, this one's a lot harder to check because we're not in the right level. But if we take it over, sorry, my thing's having a little bit of an issue here. So the way that this actually works, and I've kind of shown it in some of the videos and all that kind of stuff. This has got to go from this corner, basically, okay, it's got to fit from there to there. So you see that there's a little bit of overlap, which is good because we can put the overlap over on that side where the dump section is going to be. And then so we're all set to go. So that looks like we've got about the right sizes. Now, when you look at where we want to... All right, so now that we have all those determined, the next question is where do we put the drive units? So the one drive unit that we're actually going to have is going to be down on this end, just like that over there. Now we've got a choice. We can either put 2 drive units here, because it's a belt, it can go either way, or we can put one here and one up over here. So probably what we're going to do, since this is the main one and we have a lot of room down underneath there to get stairs up to there, we're probably going to put both drive units in that side, which is going to make it a little bit tough because now we're going to have to hang a platform way out over on this side as well. So we'll have to get some stairs or something like that to go up to that platform so that they can service it as well. Okay, so that's where we're at. We're good to go. We're going to go clean up pieces and start putting stuff together. All right, so that's a little bit of history and understanding of what we're going to do, and getting the first part of our items ready to go. And now I'm going to, so we're going to go off to the next video. The next one will give you some more information about how we put things together and what types of little parts and pieces we've got to do. Okay, so stay tuned for that one, and everybody, thanks for watching.